and we had a question in the chat about whether I accepted the challenge. It's been a tough decision. We spent probably 3 weeks or so constantly in communication, trying to make things happen, trying to figure out a way. And then, to be honest, when I told Phil that I'm out, which was on Monday, before his deadline that he conveniently set up, I felt pretty bummed out about it. I felt that, I'm not sure if that was a good decision. I felt a bit sad, to be honest, but a couple of days have passed since, and I'm really happy that I made the decision not to do this. Really, really happy. Just thinking about it, because, I basically have a 1-year-old kid, right? And that Phil is in the same situation. And he's either super brave or the real hero of this battle is his wife in this case, right? Because, or maybe he's in a bit different situation because, probably his family is closer nearby. I mean, for me, we are living quite far away from everyone. So, I'm pretty much involved with the baby boy just doing his thing, right? And even if we think about it, like 2 weeks ago, I had to interrupt the stream to rush to a hospital because we had an accident with the baby. Like during the stream, I had to cut it short, 45 minutes into it. And I was sitting at the doctor's waiting for this for like 2.5 hours. And I mean, everything was fine with the baby. It was just a bit of a scare. Nothing really happened. But I was sitting there and thinking, this is so fucking stressful. And these things happen all the time. And I imagine if I have the commitment of the challenge, because the challenge itself, to me, the toughest part is the 50,000 hands which you're obliged to play. Because, Sasha, you in the beginning of this conversation, you were mentioning how you appreciate the freedom that poker gives you, right? And for me, it's the same. This freedom is the best part about being a professional poker player. Committing to a 50K challenge when you know that basically rain or snow, you have to come back the next day, you have to keep playing, in my current situation is just stupid. Now I see it this way, it wasn't a huge factor in my decision in the beginning, but the more I thought about it, I realized, this is just not right, because these things happen. Like literally 2 days ago, my boy, so I was having breakfast, I turn around, I hear this wailing noise, like, wah! So what happened? So he put his hand into the coffee mug. So he burned himself. I just made a fresh cup of coffee. He burned himself by putting a hand in the coffee mug. It could have happened that he just spilled all the coffee all over his face, and then what we do, right? And these things happen all the time because now he starts walking, now he starts talking, and it's just. I hope that Phil knows what he's doing. I hope that it's gonna work out for him because the older they get in this age before they're really kind of independent, it's a bit tough. So yeah, but anyway,
I'm sure he does.
Of course he does, and I think like he's very well prepared for the challenge. He definitely knows what he's doing, and he has a very strong team behind him. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to watching this. And with him, we discussed already that we might revisit the idea of the challenge next year, towards the end of the year when the time is a bit better. I would actually, because still, like, deep inside, I still want this, because it seems like a really cool thing, and I would view it as a personal challenge for myself, something that I can use to grow my own game, right? Because Heads Up Hold'em is not, Heads Up PLO is not my main game. And I would be very interested to up it to a level where I basically reach the highest levels here. So yeah, that would be very interesting. But we'll see. Maybe next year. But let's talk about this challenge from another perspective, right? From the perspective of what comes into the preparation for a thing like this. And I think you, Sasha, should have some parallels with golf here as well, because it's basically... the way I see it, it is a kind of a marathon thing where, these 50,000 hands, they would basically commit you to, at least 2 months of playtime and then probably a month of preparation, because the date that was discussed with Phil throughout was mid to end of January. So there would be a month of preparation, and you would be stupid not to do a very intensive preparation work. So basically you put everything else aside for that month, then you fully focus on the challenge itself, and you play, then you analyze your hands, then you play again, and that's your life for those next 2 months. And I'm pretty sure with the schedule like this, you're bound to need at least a couple weeks off after the challenge, because you won't be able to
very
just,
likely, yes. Very likely, yes.
So to me, it seems really impressive that Phil is signing up to basically do 5 of them. Okay, 2 of them are going to be the shorter challenges against recreational players, but still, it's a huge commitment, and yeah.
Well, I think if you aim for one challenge, then it's a good idea to aim for more, because as you said, like there's gonna be a team involved into it, and well, you have to prepare like everything in the background once, and once you have this set up, like you can use it for the multiple challenges that are out there. As we said, like, I mean, I think we can easily relate this to professional sports as well. I mean, golf is a sport where like you have this one single person that is in the main focus of media and fans and everyone. But around that one person, there's usually a huge team that plays a big role in the success story. I mean, and not only the people that you can directly see, so not only the caddy when it comes to golf, like, and not only the coach, not only the mental game coach, not only the swing coach, etc. But like nowadays, I mean, like they are a business, so they have like media guys around them at all times. They have nutritionists, physical experts. There's like a truck at every golf event that has a lot of physiotherapists that are basically traveling with the tour and offering their services to players. So there's like a huge thing going on around just like normal events. And I assume like this Galfond PLO challenge or Run It Once PLO challenge, at least from his side, it's going to be the same, or from every competitor basically.
Oh, it should be from every competitor, yeah.
Like if somebody takes it seriously, and I mean, we talk about serious money in this challenge, like all of them will try to get a content team around them that is preparing them as well as possible, plus then analyzing the hands that are being played every day, coming up with exploitative game plans if possible, or figuring out what the competitor, like the competition, is doing. Plus, I assume like they will have at least, I mean, either you have a great wife or a great partner, or you hire a chef for that period of time. So you can't really be bothered with like those everyday obstacles, I would say. So I can't see any of those guys preparing their own meals during that period. Everybody will have a mental game coach for sure. I think that such a challenge is mentally draining and as hard as it can be in poker, probably, because as you said, like, I mean, 50K hands, that's quite a lot of sample, and it will be very intense from the competitive standpoint, where it's just like, it's basically him and yourself, and it's a competitor, like it's your enemy at that stage, and you got to find a way to gain an edge there, and that's what it's all about. So it's mainly against yourself, such a challenge. Part of it is obviously again playing against your opponent, but like you're your own enemy in that challenge, and in the preparation you need to make sure that you eradicate as many things that can go wrong as possible. And yeah, you need a big team. I think this challenge is extremely hard to prepare for. I mean, financially, it's quite tough when you think about like the bankroll requirements for players in that challenge. And furthermore, I mean, there will be so much spotlight from the poker media on that challenge. And I mean, online poker play. I mean, Phil is probably in an advantage there because like he's used to being out there and being a public figure. But I don't know if all of his competitors will be. And like some of them will just step out of being like this anonymous online crusher and suddenly have the spotlight on them. And this could be part of the edge that Phil sees in such a challenge. Just people not being able to handle those things correctly and struggling with like all those side factors and not only the game of PLO. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited as well. I mean,
Yeah.
once he announced that, and I know, I mean, we had a look at it, or you had a look at it.
Well, more than a look. I basically
more than a
spent
look,
3
of course.
weeks
I
of
mean,
just doing nothing else. And you know what? This actually also kind of pisses me off because I basically didn't play my normal game. I didn't play my regular games for almost 3 weeks because I was trying to find all the details, etc., etc. You know, and it just goes to show that, you know, 50K hands, but plus all the preparation work, all of the other side factors that are coming into this, it's just such a huge time investment, you know. And of course, you know, the first thing, because we obviously talked with you, Sasha, behind the scenes a lot about this, leading up to making the decision, and pretty much the first thing we tried to handle is assembling the team, you know. And I was looking into not only, you know, need to hire somebody to cook, and also I'm moving to a new house. I'm moving to a new place in a completely different side of our small little country, right? But still, you know, so it would be a big move, and you have to, like, I don't even know where to go shop for groceries, kind of thing. You know, I'm not used to it. I have never been there. I've never lived there. So anyway, but not only like looking into hiring a chef, but even like a nutritionist. For myself, it would be hugely important because also there's this problem of 11-hour time difference between Vancouver and Malta, right? And these 11 hours, I mean, I would basically have to change all of my routine, which I worked for so many years, because my routine developed into a point where I kind of achieve my peak performance in the morning or the first half of the day, and then I would only play in the evening if I somehow still feel okay and the games are great. But usually I wouldn't even go into the lobby in the evening because I am just not able to focus. I am tired. It's been already a busy day, you know. And again, like, the kid just is gonna wake up at like 6:30, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't just sleep in, right? Whereas with Phil, this challenge would have to go in the evening kind of time, and, you know, which also takes away from any opportunities to have dinner with your family. You have to go to sleep when everybody else is already asleep. Then you have to probably sleep somewhere else in a different room for 2 months, right? Just to be able to get a good night's sleep. But I thought that, you know, obviously, like, a nutritionist would be hugely important there as well, because I would basically need to change the way where I'm able to perform at the high levels. And that has a lot to do with, you know, the chemistry kind of thing, because you need to be able to just be ready, be fully focused at the wrong time of the day for me. So it's incredible. And, you know, this whole thing, these 3 weeks of thinking about it and deliberating about it so much, opened my eyes to so many things which I haven't thought about before. And in many ways, it actually motivated me to work on improving some parts of my daily routine and, you know, my approach in general to poker. So it's great that Phil is doing it. I mean, it's amazing.
Make poker great again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. No, it's exciting. I mean, it's gonna be fascinating, especially in today's age. I mean, those challenges will be like covered in the media, and let's see. I'm sure there will be a lot of streaming about it going on, and interviews and podcasts and behind the scenes work and everything.
Absolutely. And we're gonna stream about it as well, at least the highlights. We might even stream you know, some of the games, just trailing them, because obviously I will be keeping a very close eye on the whole challenge, because on the off chance that I am still playing Phil later in the year, of course I have to basically keep an eye on what's going on. And I really expect him to play I really expect him to play very good poker, to be honest, like, considering how good of a team he has behind him, and it's going to be great. It's really interesting.
Do you want to spread any rumors of who you
No,
think is
no.
behind his team?
I
No?
I have some ideas, but I don't want to. I mean, our communication with Phil was throughout. Like, I have the best impression about him. You know, he's very open, and it was very easy to negotiate with him. He was very open to changing a lot of things in his own routine, etc., etc. You know, and there were some things that he asked not to disclose, and you know, I think he's gonna talk about all of these things himself when the time is right, because he wants to do a publicity right, and
Hmm.
I would like to give him this opportunity. I mean, it's I
Of course.
absolutely love what he's doing. I would like to support him in any way we can, you know, and hopefully still play at one day.
Hopefully,
Maybe not
hopefully.
50k hands though. This 50k hands that's really
That's
scares me. That's
very
a
draining for
huge
sure.
commitment.
That's scary. I mean,
Yeah,
50k hands versus one single opponent, and like,
right.
I mean, you talked about it. Like, you already spent a couple of weeks now where like you didn't really focus on your own grind as you would usually do, and I mean, during those like 3 plus X months that you need for preparation plus playing the challenge. I mean, like, there's nothing else going on in your life. I mean,
Absolutely.
people might laugh about that, but I mean, we talk about such big amount of EV that can be won or lost there, and it's such a huge challenge. So you need to fully focus on that, and you got to make sure that you peak at exactly the right point. And as you said, like, basically make sure that like all the little steps that you can take are moving or going in the right direction. Like, yeah, changing a lot in your life and making a lot of sacrifices. So you have to
Yeah.
be in the right position in your life, I think, to do that as well. So as
Yeah,
you said, like
absolutely.
with a young child, it's tough. Like, I mean, that's what I'm really curious about Phil's side. Like, how is he going to handle that? Because I mean, he has a wife, he has a child, from what you told me. Um,
Yeah, and his kid is
and he has
slightly
five
younger than
challenges,
mine. Yeah,
five
five
challenges.
challenges.
So
Yeah, so it's about 6 months at least that he's investing in this, and you know, it's the 6 months of basically the kid's gonna be between 1 year and 1.5 years old. A lot of things happen in that period. You know, one day you realize, where's my kid? Oh, he just walked away. Cause yeah, shit, he can walk now. You know, and that's a life changer. Cause when they start walking, wow, you know, you realize that shit, things are so dangerous. They can just
yeah.
walk into anywhere, grab everything, you know, take like a knife or scissors from a cupboard that you didn't even know existed, and they find things. It's fun. Anyway, what else could we? I want to catch up with the chat a bit. Or Tobi. I hear Tobi has a
Okay.
question.
Yeah, I have a couple of
Tobi's fan.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you did all the math, and I think everybody agrees that Phil is the favorite here again in the game against Jay Hernandez. But I wanted to ask if you think it's plus EV for Jay Hernandez.
Well, listen, I think it's not enough to count, is it purely plus CV on paper? It's also like, what do you lose from doing this, right? Because for myself, with all the calculations, it's plus CV, yet losing the time at my regular games, losing basically extra time of, like, let's say if we're actually talking about 3-4 months of losing my normal income, my other commitments, all of these things, that's a huge opportunity cost lost, right? And basically the games that I'm playing already are massively plus CV for me to play, right? So if I think about investing the same amount of time in my regular game or investing the same amount of time into the game against Phil and his team with a 5-1, it's not even that huge of a deal financially, right, in terms of EV, because basically there's so much risk in there of burning out, you know, and these things which you can't just discount, you know, because that can basically hurt your normal performance for more than those four weeks involved. You know, I remember one of the first years when I went to Vegas and played the high stakes for 2.5 months. By the end of those months, I literally, like, when I decided I played my last day, I stopped playing, and then I just sat on the couch for like a week, just staring into the void. And I'm not even joking. I was completely burned out. I came back home. I'm completely burned out. So you lose, and I mean, not only you lose your ability to play your normal game, I actually suffered health-wise from that experience. And there are some outcomes in this one as well where you basically, it's going to be a really, really stressful experience. And for me, all the stress coming out from just a normal life with the kid and moving, etc., everything can mount up to such a big thing that it actually becomes hugely minus EV in some of the outcomes, and you can't discount those outcomes. Those outcomes are not very likely, but you can't really discount it. But I think the important thing here, a lot of EV comes also from the promotion, and we discussed it internally. Of course, for us doing this as a coaching company, that would be a great way to sort of push our name further out there. And I think Jane Anders is considering exactly the same thing. All right. So, and it's a question of how much does he estimate the EV of this promotion to be for him? Because also there was one thing with the Jane Anders thing. I think like a day before accepting the challenge, he tried to persuade Phil to play 1020. Right, because he basically didn't want to play higher than 1020 because he would need to sell the action. And then just a day later, he agreed to 100-200, which makes me believe that, he probably sold a huge chunk of it. And if he sold a huge chunk of it, then probably the key EV comes for him from the promotional part. All right. So I think for him, it's probably a great decision. I don't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes. I'm sure we're going to find out at one point. For sure he has a team secured as well, who's gonna help him with the content and all the other work. So yeah.
Exciting times.
Exciting times. And we have I want to address immediately. There's somebody saying that Jane Anders losing the challenge is going to be huge negative promotion. I don't think there is an option of negative promotion in this for a coach. Even if you lose, unless you lose and go crazy and start doing stupid shit and basically mental breakdown or something, any other way of losing, you just lose. It happens. It's variance, and I think most people would agree that Phil is the favorite for this challenge. So, losing against the favorite, not a big deal. I don't think he would suffer too many negative outcomes here in terms of promotion for himself. What do you think, Sasha, about this?
Well, first of all, I will be diplomatic and I will say I'm not a PLO player, so I don't know who's the favorite, because that was the initial question of Tobi. But all in all, as you said, I think the part of or maybe not the main EV. That's hard to say. I mean, I can't make the decision for the parties, but definitely a huge part of that whole challenge will be the publicity gain and the marketing value of this whole challenge. As I said, I expect it to be streamed very professionally and potentially some film crew behind the scenes and a lot of interviews, and who knows whatever is coming out of it. But it's going to be huge for sure, because I mean the value of those type of things is just huge nowadays. As I said, I assume both parties will have those things in mind for sure, and they will have done the math themselves and realize, okay, even losing X amount of EV in that challenge might still be plus EV overall when you consider this side factor. But as Runchuks said, let's wait for some inside information in the near future, and let the rumors spread, and let's see what's going on then. I mean, right now it's just pure speculation what's really going to happen, and who as far as I know, the other competitors are not announced yet, just the thirst lounge around Bill Perkins and Jane Anders now. So it's going to be quite interesting how Phil will challenge other guys and who they will be. But yeah, chapeau to him. I mean, knowing that he's a father of a young child, a married man, quite a busy man for sure, and now taking 5 challenges. That means a lot of love for the game, for sure, and he will also be motivated by not only the monetary factor. I think, I mean, obviously he's a businessman. It has to play a huge role, but it's also like the challenge that he's seeking. At least that's what I would assume or what I would guess.
Right. Okay, so a few more things in the chat that were related to this, because there are a couple questions that I want to get back to later, but just sticking to the Galfond thing for now. So yeah, the other, as Sasha said, the other competitors are not confirmed yet. We might have some idea, but Phil is going to confirm it and announce it when it's time, which is pretty much soon. And that's a great question. Who would you like to see battling Phil?
Runchuks.
Right. Well, I know you want to see battling Phil. Yeah. And by the way, that was a funny comment above. Dude, get a nanny. Related to all the kid stories that I was telling. I mean, the thing is, nanny or no nanny, he's still gonna do stupid shit. He's gonna burn himself, hurt himself, etc., etc. Do I want to just say, well, whatever, I'm gonna see my kid in 3-4 months. I don't want to see any part of it right now, right? It's not really reasonable. I mean, poker allows me to basically be present while he's growing up, the most beautiful period of his life, probably, because then life just gets bad as you grow up. That's a lesson from this podcast. The first year of your life is the most beautiful.
Don't believe what Runchuks is saying. You've already had some whiskey, right?
No, I didn't have any whiskey, but you know, once you get a kid, you realize that the life before the kid is so nice, and then it's just there's before and after, and it's
have
very
you told
nice.
your wife?
Yeah, of course, but no, it's very different. It's definitely very different. But anyway, you'll get there. Not while sitting on the lap of the black dude, as we see you in this picture here.
Not the right way, I assume.
No, but I don't even know who I'd want to see him battle besides myself, which I still kind of would like to do. But because I know that he's not going to... There are a few people that I want to play him, or that's not the right way to say, but that I would like to see the battle. Him to battle. Oh, Jesus. Did I say I'm on medication? I'm actually a bit sick today, so I took a lot of paracetamol or whatever, like 3 or 4 of them before the stream. So there are a few people, but I know that Phil is not going to play them because he's smart. So
simple as that.
Simple as that, yeah. And which he has every right, because he didn't announce the whole challenge to the whole world. His open challenge was to the coaching community only. And, you know, and we discussed this with him. He really knew what he's doing, because basically there are not many coaches who are actually actively playing the highest stakes online at the moment, right? So the field was super limited, and so he knew what he's doing.